Well, we're back. This is the live Earl Stewart. You just heard the recorded Earl Stewart doing this radio show. I kind of reflect when I listen to the recorded introduction because we've been doing this show for a long, long time. Some of you listeners have been with us for a long, long time too. And my reflection this morning was the cycle that we seem to be going through. Everything is in cycles, right? Life, the whole the whole 9 yards. Everything seems to run in cycles. The stock market, everything. And we've been going through a crazy cycle in automotive retail and automotive manufacturing, the whole world. I don't have to tell you, you're on the world with me here, right? I mean, we went through the craziest period of time in the retail automobile business. Prices absolutely skyrocketed beyond a point where, a guy like me, I've been around a long time, I just never thought there would become a day when every car dealer would be selling his cars for thousands of dollars over MSRP. But they did, most of them anyway. And it's coming down. The market, the prices are cooling off. Inflation might be going strong in other areas, but not in the automobile business. The used car prices are starting to come down. The new car prices are coming down. They're still quite high. I can't foresee anything that's going to prevent them from going down further. So I've kind of missed my forecast here for almost 3 years. I've been saying by the end of the year, prices are going to be back to normal. Well, they weren't, and they're still not. So I'm not going to make another forecast now, but I do know we have the data, we have the statistics that show used and new car prices are coming down. And we're seeing it with our mystery shopping reports. We're seeing it in the press. It's a regional thing. It's not the same everywhere. I see life a lot the way South Florida sees life, but there are pockets of the economy around the country that are almost normal. So, all you wannabe car buyers out there, new and used, now is the time to start thinking about it, studying it, doing your homework. And I did a little blog you can reach at earloncars.com. It's called Earl's Pocket Guide to Buying a Car. The simple, 4 or 5 basic things you want to do. And you can take that blog, take a look at it, and start thinking about it. And by the time you get around to choosing the right car and choosing the right dealer, you just might get yourself a pretty good price. So happy days are here again. Nancy just handed me my blog. I'll hold it up so you can see what it looks like. But you go to earloncars.com, and it's got a picture of a pocket, very creative, Earl's Pocket Guide. And it's short. A lot of times I get carried away when I do my blogs, and very few people read all of anything, either a newspaper or online. If the article's too long, people don't read it. So I said, I'm going to do a real short one, and maybe that'll help. There are 5 points in this that it'll take you 90 seconds to read this, and it'll be very helpful to you. So happy days are here again. I'll give that back to Nancy. We also have some other very exciting news. You regulars and people that listen to the show for on and off, for that matter, for the past 3 years, I go on and on about the fact that regulators are not regulating the laws we have on the book. And most recently, I've really picked on the Attorney General for the state of Florida, Ashley Moody, and all the Attorney Generals, most of them anyway, around the 50 states, for not enforcing the rules we have. If you look in state laws, there's usually some laws and rules that protect the consumer, but they don't do you any good if nobody enforces them. And Ashley Moody, because I'm in Florida, I talk about her a lot, but it applies to all the other AGs too, totally ignored the transgressions of the car dealers. And we talked about it, and I'm like a flea on an elephant's back. She doesn't even know I'm here. Here's on the blog, show you if you're streaming this. There's Ashley, and Ashley got reelected in the recent election, landslide, and she's very, very well supported by car dealers auto manufacturers and car associations. So she just kind of leaves the car dealers alone up until recently. And there's a guy by the name of Jeff Weinseer, who is an investigative reporter for WPLG in South Florida, Channel 10 television. An amazing guy, a courageous guy. And he caught Ashley Moody. I mean, I don't think he literally ran her down, but he snuck up on her. And we talked about that last week. And sure enough, she has an investigation, or had an investigation, and she's filed charges against a bunch of dealers in South Florida. So it's happening, folks. Not only are prices coming down, but we're actually seeing action by the regulators. The number one law enforcement officer in every state is the Attorney General. So Ashley Moody has gone after several dealers. They've been subpoenaed, they've been charged, and also she's even gone after a couple of manufacturers, one of them being Toyota Finance, and I believe the other one was Volkswagen. The finance companies, the leasing companies, and the manufacturer and the car dealers were all taking advantage of you when you leased a car, because they wouldn't let you buy the car back. It's your legally regulated option price to buy the car at the specified price when you leased it. They were charging hundreds of thousands of dollars in additional fees. Well, that was a transgression that Ashley Moody caught, and I don't know, there'll be new people. Every car dealer that I can think about, a lot of them that we mystery shopped on this show, was doing the same thing. So I think this thing could turn into a class action suit. So that's what we got to talk about, a lot of stuff. And I'm on a real rant now, so I got to pull myself together. Nancy tells me that all the time. Pull yourself together. You're the show. You make the show, your calls. And we have some wonderful callers. Love the new callers, all callers. Callers get priority. The dial-in number, 877-960-9960. You probably can't call now, or you don't want to call now. But if you could jot the number down, maybe even memorize it, 877-960-9960. We prioritize phone calls. Now, we got a lot of other ways to reach us, and I'm going to get to that in just a second. But Nancy Stewart, my co-host, sitting to my left here in the studio, she has a laptop. She'll see your name, number, where you're calling from, and whatever we're doing, bam, we stop, because your calls are important. Your questions are why we're here. I mean, you can just tell by listening to me yak now. I love to talk about things. Rick Kearney sitting to my right, by the way, is a yacker, but he's also got a lot of knowledge. He's been doing this mechanical, computerized, electronic. He's a certified diagnostic master technician. He's got all the badges, all the qualifications. If you got a car and you got a problem, Rick can fix it. Or he can tell you how to fix it, or he can tell you you don't need to fix it. The one thing you want to be careful of is getting taken advantage of by taking your car in and say, hey, fix my car, and then you walk out with a $3,000 or $4,000 bill. Maybe it didn't need that much fixing. Maybe it didn't need any fixing. You call Rick Kearney, and he can give you some real tips on how to save a lot of money if you have a issue with your car. Might not be serious. Now, Rick monitors our YouTube channel, and that is youtube.com/Roland Carbs. youtube.com/Roland Carbs. Now, that's one way to reach him, or you can just use the telephone, 877-960-9960. Rick?
And one quick note on the YouTube. Big shout out to a couple of guys up in Iowa, Mark Smith and Mark Ryan. They're with us every single week, start to finish.
Wow, fantastic.
These two gentlemen, one's in the Northeast, one's in the Southeast, up in Iowa, and every week they are here.
Wow.
We got a guy from Virginia, West Virginia, that's been with us every week.
We do. Kirk from West by God, Virginia.
Yeah.
And what about Donovan? Where's he?
Donovan is local.
Oh.
We have Negan One, who's out in Arizona. Mark Anderson, I believe, is somewhere in St. Louis, I want to say. Mm-hmm. So we've got folks on YouTube and listening all over the nation and all over the world, really. But
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, if everybody driving a car, including me, and I think everybody in the studio, you out there in radio, Facebook land, there's something about I did it this morning. I had an issue with the car. I said, forget about it. You don't have to forget about it. An odor, you say, yeah, maybe. Could that be insulation burning, or you might have a vibration? You say, is that supposed to be there? Maybe it's just normal. I mean, you hear that a lot. You take your car to get fixed. The guy says, "Oh, they all do that." I love it when they say that. That is nutty. So here you have a freeway. You just go to the YouTube channel, or RollingCars.com, or youtube.com/RollingCars, or you call us at 877-960-9960. Or text us at 772-497-6530. Jot these down, however you like to reach us, 772-497-6530. That's the text number. So you got a whole lot of ways to reach us. Don't hesitate. Save yourself some money, especially with Rick. Now, you ladies out there, we really love to have you call. And we've got Nancy Stewart. You've heard her earlier in the show, and she's been with me from the get-go, back, I'm going to say 20 years ago to round it off. And she is a female advocate. She wants you women to call. And we have a huge amount of input from the ladies in the audience. When we started this show many years ago, we didn't have any female callers. Cars are a guy thing. The guys, the men, they call. But now we have a good following of women, thanks to Nancy, and she has a special incentive to motivate you ladies who have not called the show. I know a lot of you listen, but listen to what Nancy has to say if you call the show.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. We're here to inspire and to motivate everyone, including ourselves. Don't go anywhere for the next 2 hours. We have a whole lot to get to, and we're pretty excited about the news that Earl talked about with Ashley Moody and what she's going to be doing. And it certainly is a move in the right direction. Ladies, $50 for the first 2 new lady callers this morning. For the first 2 lady callers. Ladies, you know what you want, and you know how to get it, and empower yourself with a lot of knowledge, and knowledge is power. And share with us this morning whether you went into the dealership, maybe you just got on the internet and researched a vehicle that you wanted, anything at all. You also can call and say hello. $50 for the first 2 new lady callers. That number is 877-960-9960, and you can also text us at 772-497-6530. Don't forget your anonymous feedback. We love hearing from anonymousfeedback.com. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
Well, my son Stu is with us, and he's the cyber master. He goes, he's in charge of our mystery shoppers, arguably, certainly the most interesting part of the show. I think it's more than just interesting too, because we feel what's going on more with the mystery shopping reports than what we read and what we talk about. I mean, this is reality. When you send an undercover agent into a car dealership and you pretend to go through the buying or leasing process and you write it up and tell it like it is, that's what's going on, folks. I mean, this is what I rail about. I used to, now that Ashley Moody has finally got going on going after some of these car dealers. I can't be so hard on her anymore, but every week, year after year, every week we go into a car dealership and we see laws being broken, we see deception, we see just absolutely the worst type of behavior, manipulation of the car buyer, and more so than about any other retail business I can imagine. So this is a reality, and Stu's in charge of that, and He picks the dealerships that we visit. We have an amazing mystery shopper. For over a year now, we've been using a female mystery shopper. Her code name is Agent Lightning, and she just does an amazing job. And sometimes she goes in with her family, and sometimes she visits out of state. We've been in 2 or 3 states, all over Florida, northern Florida. Mainly, we do focus on South Florida. But this is really what's going on. So we are seeing some positive results. We are seeing from what we've heard about pricing and things like that. So we track it both from the mystery shopping report. We see the media talk about it, and of course we're a car dealer too. We actually operate a car dealership. We've had a Toyota dealership in South Florida since 1975, and we see what's going on. So this is a real. We have cooperated the facts that we give you. This is not the way we think it is. This is the way it is. We tell it like it is. Stu, let me turn it over to you. If this mystery shop we had this week was surprising to me. I didn't know there was a car dealer been around longer than we had.
Right. Well, I do a little research and try and find some background information before we get to the mystery shop, include it in the mystery shopping report. And I looked it up and I said, wow, these guys got started in 1910, and our company got started in 1937, which is pretty impressive. But 1910 is really impressive. That's like at the dawn of the retail car business.
Yeah, Henry Ford type of.
He hadn't even done his production line until 1913. So he was selling cars. And I looked up, it's really interesting. The guy, do you remember the guy who ran General Motors back then? You don't remember him. You're not that old.
Oh, yeah, Sloan, Alfred Sloan.
No, I think it was like, I'll look it up as Durst or something like that. Anyway, he knew Garber, old man Garber, way back when, got him set up, selling Buicks.
I see.
And then, as I say, the rest is history. But yeah, they've been around forever. But as I went through the research that we had, when we mystery shopped we mystery shopped them back in 2019, and we discovered the same thing. We just forgot about that. We remarked on how old they were, and that was about 3 years ago. But in our defense, it was a completely different world. I don't even remember anything from 2019. Everything was pandemic on. So, but we do have a great mystery shopping report. I'm not going to give anything away, but it was surprising. And also, just another note on the Garber Group, they also have another dealership, a Buick dealership in Fort Pierce. And I think that used to be owned by, so I think they picked that one up in 2018. So I don't know, do you know who the Buick dealer was in Fort Pierce up until recently?
Fort Pierce, I
thought it was Carl, but it wasn't. He's in Stewart, and Wallace, isn't it? So I don't know, maybe they've been around, or maybe it was a new point, and we were caught sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what about the text? Do we have any text come in?
Yeah, we can get started with Anne-Marie, like we always do. Anne-Marie says, good morning. It's well known that new cars depreciate significantly the moment they're driven out of the dealership. Does this depreciation really matter if the customer keeps their car for 10 or 15 years? And that's the first question. Then she has a P.S. She sent us the story, attached story from the Sun Sentinel. It's about car dealers accused of price gouging customers who exercise their option to buy leased cars at the end of the contract. The story mentions that the Florida Attorney General's office reviewed about 120 complaints since last year. The complaints are being reviewed. The story mentions some of the successes that Attorney Joshua Fagan has attained for his clients who have disputes with their car dealers. And the show mentions that these problems in the past. It's good to read Ron Hubert's story in the Sun Sentinel, also spotlighting this problem. And it is good. And you mentioned this when you started the show off today.
We have a video clip that we'll play shortly that shows pretty much what Ashley Moody has done, and she's finally taking action.
So to answer her first question, and I want you to chime in on this too, generally if you're keeping your car for a really, really long time, it doesn't really matter, because at the end of a car's life, it's really only worth scrap. Everything reaches that point at some point. A Rolls Royce and a Honda Civic are eventually going to be rusted out somewhere or being taken apart for salvage. But 10 to 15 years is a different story. Now it's been a long time since I was personally appraising cars, but I can tell you some cars, particularly Honda Civics, Honda Accords, Toyota Corollas, Toyota Camrys. The older ones, surprisingly, and I can't remember the year, but I can tell you, it was back when I was involved a little bit more, seeing like a 15-year-old Honda Civic being worth, $2,000, where a 15-year-old Chevy Geo would be worth $400. So it depends on how well the cars keep up, and so the cars that have a long life span are going to be worth more. Go ahead, Rick.
It always seems to me like old Toyotas and old Hondas, 10, 12, 15-year-old cars, if the engine runs just halfway reliably,
there's a floor before they go down on that. Yeah.
And if the air conditioning blows cold here in South Florida, they're worth $2,000 to $3,000 all day long.
That's also an old pickup truck, an old Toyota or Nissan pickup truck, something
big
like that.
time.
As long as it's that.
Well, but let me say this. Cars, as I say at the beginning of the show almost every week, are computers. They're high tech. And we've seen a revolution in technology in cars in the past few years that's never happened before. And it's not over, folks. I mean, we're headed toward autonomous EVs. So today, I just got a new iPhone. I had the old iPhone 10, and this is the 14. And it's a quantum leap in technology. My old iPhone was fine. It worked fine. So cars are being looked at somewhat like that. You can say, well, I can get by without the bells and whistles. I don't need the fancy stuff on a car. You do need the safety things. And if you have a 14-year-old car, it's just not as safe as a current model car. So transportation, absolutely. You get a quality car like a Honda, and you take care of it. You do all your factory recommended maintenance. That car will last another 14 years. I mean, if you really take care of these things, mechanically, they're good vehicles. But you're leaving a lot on the table when it comes to, well, mainly safety, but also other, fancy stuff. I mean, I just love getting in my Tesla.
Sure.
And Tesla is one of the highest tech cars. I have the S model with the plaid, and there's stuff on that car I still haven't figured out, but it's fun.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be a market for get me to work and back, and that's all I care about.
And today, Best Buy, as you said, would be like a 8 or 10-year-old, really well cared for, quality car.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to get you there. You might not survive the trip, but you'll afford the trip.
Yeah. It's not unusual for me to talk to anybody, and it's happening more often that, they've had a car for, 15 years, 16 years, 17 years, and they're really reluctant to move into the new world of all the safety features and everything that they're fearful of not being able to adapt to. And I encourage them. It isn't thinking about it, I think, is more, stressful than going in and taking a look at that vehicle. But my point, vehicles last a very long time, depending upon whether you take care of them or not.
Do we have any callers waiting?
We do not.
Let's take this opportunity to play that video.
You're reading my mind. Okay, Jonathan.
So 3, 2, 1, go.
A Local 10 News investigation on illegal fees you are being charged when buying out your current lease could soon lead to change in Tallahassee. The state attorney general sent subpoenas to several local dealerships and some of the biggest names in the auto industry. Local 10 News investigator Jeff Wines here broke this story in April and is live with the latest. Jeff.
Nicole, the subpoenas went out last week. The investigation involves deceptive and unfair trade practices. One of the dealers that got the subpoenas, Gunther VW on 441 behind me. As we have reported over and over, you should not be paying fees on your lease buyout that were not disclosed, yet many people continue to do it because they simply do not know better.
I was told this is how we do it if you want to buy it through us.
That's the charge that we have to do. I'm like, okay, all right. I mean, at this point, I'm at their mercy.
Why are you giving me all these fees? Well, this is the way we have to do it.
Consumers hit with fees and unaware it is illegal. The dealers calling them all kinds of things, a certification fee, a dealer fee. an electronic filing fee, an inspection fee, a pre-delivery service charge, a registration filing fee. These are fees that are not in your original lease contract that are being charged to you when you go to buy out your lease. Those fees we reported on and warned you about are now at the heart of a Florida Attorney General's investigation. Gunther Motor Company, Homestead Hyundai, Lexus of Clearwater, Toyota Motor Credit, VW Credit, Hyundai Capital, all hit with subpoenas from the AG's office. Ashley Moody's investigation focusing on vehicle lease buyouts.
We look at deceptive and unfair trade practices and whether or not that meets the elements of Florida statutes on the civil side of things.
As we reported, Gunther was forcing their lease buyout customers to certify or inspect the vehicles before they would facilitate the buyout, adding fees to the cost of the buyout on top of their dealer fees. And they weren't the only ones in South Florida doing it. The Consumer Leasing Act of 1976, a federal law, says you can't charge fees on the back end that aren't disclosed in the original lease. Moody's office has been consulting with other state and federal agencies that regulate the auto industry.
And it may not just be something that only our agency looks at. It could be other financial agencies or others, but we are, and we have been.
The AG's office has a list of demands for those subpoenaed. They want all leasing policies, contracts dating back to 2018. You name it, and they want it. Their office is also looking into whether state statutes need to be changed to protect consumers when buying a lease. But we have already put this issue on the radar of state lawmakers.
The system that is in place isn't working.
Please have consumers that contact you to report it to my office.
You must file that complaint with the State Attorney General's office. If you don't, they do not know how big this problem is. If you've been charged any of those fees on your lease buyout, we have all the information you need to file that complaint at our website, local10.com. In Fort Lauderdale, Jeff Weinseer, Local 10 News.
Very important information. Thanks, Jeff.
Ashley Moody is a hero.
I'll tell you.
She sure is.
Well, you know,
Our listeners are heroes.
I forgive her. I mean, you know, sometimes this is what it takes, pressure. I like to think we exerted some of that pressure.
I think our listeners did.
And I think our listeners did too. And remember what Jeff Weinseer said, we need more complaints. And you can go to WPLG website, local10.com, to file a report to the AG. You can go to earloncars.com, and we have a link to the AG complaint form too. So enough complaints. This has always been the case. Car buyers, it's an awkward, slow, cumbersome process. We Americans, I say, we're always in a hurry, and it takes time to file a complaint with any governmental authority. I mean, and the government, they say, well, if you have a problem, file a complaint. Well, it's cumbersome. Take the time, please, to fill out that complaint form if you leased a car any time in the past 3 or 4 years. If you leased a car and the lease was up during this period of time, the COVID years, you had a super buy on that car at the option price, and chances are you didn't even know that. And if you did know it, you didn't know that the dealer could stack on literally thousands of dollars worth of fees and take advantage of your right to buy the car. A lot of these dealers got your car and you didn't even know you could have bought it. So this is a huge scandal. Probably billions of dollars have been scammed from the lease customers who let their car go back none the wiser. So
Yeah. B as in billion. Speaking of crooks and complaints, Stu just passed a text to me, and Denise, if you're listening, I really would appreciate it if you'd give us a call. And this is Denise's text. Listen closely. The crooks and the liars. The crooks and the liars at Napleton Service need to be accountable. I am a single woman who was called a racist by the service manager, Daniel Gonzalez, and the service advisor, Connor Broadway. Denise says it's unacceptable. Sure is, Denise. It definitely is. And a voice must be heard, whether it's yours, whether it's mine, or the ladies that are listening right now. That's the only way we can take this learned behavior and change it. Give me a call, Denise, 877-960-9960. And don't forget, ladies, $50 for the first 2 new lady callers. 877-960-9960. And you can text us at 772-497-6530. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
Okay, Rick, I think you have something.
Excuse me, I have a call. Do you want a minute? Okay, we're going to go to the phones and where John is waiting. Good morning, John.
Good morning. Earl struck in with me when you talk about an old iPhone. Not only that they fix broken iPhones, also tablet repairs, but the most greatest thing that they do is key fobs. They have brand new key fobs. They program them. They even cut keys. It's unbelievable. I mean, if you go to a dealer for a new key fob, it costs you a fortune, but they're very, very reasonable, and they're called Batteries Plus. They have a place in Jupiter, and they have a place in Stewart. They also sell car batteries, golf cart batteries, which are Duracell, watch batteries. But the thing that shocked me was there was a whole area with key fobs. Naturally, it's not going to say Honda on it or Toyota. They're universal. They'll set it up for you. They'll program it. They'll cut the key for you. And it's just unbelievable amount. If you want even a battery, they have a deal where they'll give you a lifetime battery that if it ever goes again, they'll put it back in at no charge. And it's called Batteries Plus.
Battery Plus.
And it's on Indiantown, and it's also in Stewart on Route 1. And I couldn't believe it. I had my battery put in for the key fob, and it was like $14. But she said to me another $3, and it would be lifetime. So I just want to have a shout out for them. I think it used to be called Batteries and Bulbs. I'm not sure. It could be a nationwide chain, but it's called Batteries Plus.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, always shop and compare price on anything, and especially at car dealerships. Car dealerships have unrealistically high markups on their parts, on their service, and you just have to shop and compare. Rick, you had a point?
Yeah, Batteries Plus is all over Palm. I'm sure they're elsewhere as well, but they're all over Palm Beach County.
Is that right?
And they are. I've had an iPhone battery replaced at one, and they're very reasonable on their prices. And the one I stopped in at was great service.
Yeah.
The guy had a battery in my phone in about 20 minutes.
Really?
Interesting. And
By
they
the
have
way,
really
they'll test the
grown.
key
There's
fob.
many
Yeah.
of them now.
They have an instrument when you walk in, you can test it yourself, and it tells you, because not all key fobs have the red light on them when you put the new batteries in it.
Yeah.
But fast question for Rick. When you used to buy a new car, years back, I don't know if they still do it, with the keys that you got, there was like a 5 or 4-digit number code, which means if you kept that separate from your keys, and any time you needed it, you could go to the dealer, whoever the dealer is, Toyota, Honda, and they could make it from those digit codes a complete new key. But it's advisable that you always get an extra set of keys made, that if you ever lose, both sets they give you with the card, that it won't cost you fortunes to get a new key. Do they still do that with new cars?
Yes.
It's on the key ring and it's a digit code, like.
Yep. A little aluminum tag that has your key code on it.
Right. Well, keep that separate from keys, because that's an important thing. Should you lose, both your keys, the dealer will, from that code, I think you just prove, who you are, you show ID, and they can make you a new key.
Well, all that stuff is also in a national database for each manufacturer. So what you would do is take like your insurance card that has your VIN on it, and your ID matching to show that you kind of got to prove that you're the owner of the car. But you can go into like any Toyota or Honda dealer or Buick or Ford, and as long as you have proof that you own that car, they can cut a new key for you. Now, programming the immobilizer is another thing. They've got to actually have access to the car, but you'd be able to say if you locked your keys in, they could get you a key so you could open the car.
Well, that's a good system. So, people, please keep that separate from your keys. Keep it in a safe place so it's always available. God forbid you lost, your both keys.
Great advice, John.
Batteries plus. Remember it.
Batteries Plus. Thank you so much. We'll talk again.
Good day, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving, John.
I've got one here from. Oh, did you get another call?
We're gonna go. We're gonna go to Howard, and Howard is from Jupiter. Good morning, Howard.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you all doing?
Great.
I'm great. Yeah, that's good news that you had about the someone coming down up on the car dealers. One scam I had. I'm talking about 20 years ago. I purchased. I was going to purchase a car. At that time, it was a stick shift and no air conditioning, and the guy had things on the car that were incredible. He said, "We have this thing. If the car has a finish that it will not catch fire." So we took a cigarette lighter, and he touched the car, and he sees it's doing anything. This is a flame-proof car. And do you ever hear anything like that?
Yeah, they're very popular out in California these days. No, I'm just kidding. No, I've seen that. As a matter of fact, I think the Toyer Guard paint sealant stuff, I think, did that. But I think that's just all cars are basically flame-proof. This is a true story. Christmas morning 2004, I don't know if you remember this, you called me. We had a transformer blow up at the dealership, and it exploded with molten copper and fire, and there was we had to drive out to see what was going on, and molten copper was sprayed all over these cars, and it rolled right off the paint. It didn't do any damage to the cars. Where it landed on the glass, it melted the glass and etched into the windows, and all the glass had to replace on the cars, but the paint itself was undamaged by the heat and the molten copper. So, yeah, I think that's just like a standard thing. If you hold a lighter to something, go ahead, Rick.
I've seen things like this where they'll do this with car waxes and that they'll put this special polish on, and then they'll spray on a little bit of lighter fluid and light it on fire, and as long as it's not burning for any great length of time, it's not really going to hurt it because the exposure is so minor.
Yeah, this is called fluffery, I think.
Yep, and it's basically it's
or
just
puffery. Is it puffery or it's puffery?
Yeah, it's to make you think, oh boy, this car is so special, but pretty much all finishes are going to be that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Does that sound like what happened, Howard?
Yeah, exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Another thing on the battery and the remote batteries. I was up north, and the distance that the car would open, that I could, get into the car, it used to be like actually half a mile. I was able to, a quarter of a mile, let's say. I was able to open the car. Then it became an eighth, and finally I had to actually come up to the car. So I changed the battery, and I went to a Toyota place. They changed the battery for me, and it worked fine. It was like tremendous distance I could actually open the car. Now, my question is this. If I lose that remote, I have to go. What's the best place to go? Would it be Toyota place if I have a Toyota, or could it be this other place you're talking about? Bulbs are us, or batteries are us. Which is the better place to go to?
If you have another remote that works your car, you can go to like Batteries Plus or that, and what they do is actually clone the remote. They program their aftermarket remote to be a clone, a duplicate of yours, to where the information that's stored in it will then communicate with the car identical to the other remote. Otherwise, the factory remotes all have their own unique identification code, And so if you want to get a factory remote, or if you don't have any remotes at all left, then you kind of do have to get a factory remote and get it programmed to the car. But if you have one that's functioning, you can go into Batteries Plus and they can clone it, and it's a much cheaper option that way. And then you have two that are basically, it's just like creating an identical twin to your remote.
Okay, let's say I lose my remote. I can't get into the car. This could happen to anybody, especially to me at my age. So what do? I don't have a remote. I lost it. I call Toyota. They come. What's the scenario there?
Well, if you have the regular key, you can still just unlock the door manually and then start your car with the key and drive it home. But if
I
it's,
understand. Suppose I don't have it. Suppose I don't have the phone. I don't have.
You have
the
to
key. I lost
you have
it.
to prove who you are in person at a car dealership, and they won't order a key for you unless you've proved you own the car and you're who you say you are.
but if you've lost all your keys to the car or all the remotes, you'd have to get the car towed to the dealership in order for us to reprogram it to get new remotes to work on it. Especially like if you have the smart keys, where it's just the remote and no key at all, then and you lost all of them, you would have to get the car towed to the dealership, and we'd have to connect in and reprogram the car to accept new keys, new remotes.
Okay, that actually was my question. If I don't have any remote, I
Right.
have to have it towed to a dealership, and it can't be. And here's another question: it has to be the Toyota dealership. It can't be
Right.
a mechanic, because the Toyota dealership has the capabilities and all the information from the VIN, correct? The
Yes.
VIN would, yeah. Okay, I got you. All right. One other question. I don't want to keep you out too long. What's happening with the Mirai?
Mirai is still being sold in California and maybe in Oregon and Washington State. Toyota's still making them. I think they've acknowledged recently that it's a really small niche thing as opposed to a potential path for the future of clean energy. But they still have it. We talked about it on the show. The problem is, there's lots of problems, but a network of hydrogen filling stations is the number one problem. And I think in the United States, the only state that has any appreciable amount is California. So we actually had a Mirai that we had, this is an embarrassing mistake to tell about publicly on the air, but we had a Mirai that we thought we could flip, do a quick turnaround. It turns out not too many people want them, so we're stuck on it with a Mirai in Florida with about 8 miles of hydrogen left to go, and the clock was ticking. We didn't drive it, but we did sell it out in California where you can drive it, but it took a long time. It was a bad experience.
Okay. Thanks for all the information. You guys are great. Have a good day.
You got
Thanks,
it,
Howard.
Thanks, Howard. Ladies, don't forget $50 for the first 2 new lady callers. Share your experience with us, whether it's a service, car purchase, whether you leased, or, as I always say, you want to just call and say hello. 877-960-9960. We're going to go back to the phones where Lauren is waiting from West Palm Beach. Good morning, Lauren. You're a first-time caller?
Yes, I am.
Congratulations, you won yourself $50. When our conversation is over, you can share your contact information with Jeremy in the control room, and he'll pass that to me, and I will make you out a check for $50 and get it out to you. Good morning
Thank you
and
so
welcome.
much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I have a 2015 Mercedes SUV, the large one. It's the GL 460, but I'm not positive the model. But it's a car that has a lot of pickup and a lot of power, and it's a wonderful car. I purchased this car used about 2 years ago or so, and it had 85,000 miles on it. And there have been some issues, one with air conditioning, and I am having some financial issues now, and I took it to a local mechanic who has always been very good in the past, and he's able to sort of patch it to kind of I would call it. I can't afford to take it to a Mercedes dealer. So now, well, actually, several months ago, I had a problem with the suspension, and there's an indicator light that says malfunctioned. And so I took it to the same mechanic, and it seemed to be fixed. And then shortly after that, there was a problem again, but not as severe. It actually was the first time it sort of almost bottomed out. In other words, when you'd look at the car, it would look like this fender, I'm not sure if that's what it's called, above the wheel or closer to the wheel. And it became difficult. It got to the point where it's actually difficult to drive. So he fixed that. He said I unfortunately had to take it to a Mercedes dealer to I don't know whether he calls it like recalibrated or something. They have a special machine he doesn't have, and therefore, he asked me to do that, and I did that, and the car was fine, and that was rather expensive. I think it was close to $1,000. So it was very expensive, actually. And so then the car has kind of goes back to having the same problem, although this time it hasn't completely bottomed out like it did in the past. And I'm just wondering if, Mercedes, I know go along, you can put a lot of miles on a Mercedes, but is there a certain point in time that I should just, maybe sell that car, and move to something? Because I personally do not care if I'm driving a Mercedes SUV or a Camry.
My opinion here.
I like having the space. I don't care about what car I drive. I want a reliable car with air conditioning.
Yeah, my opinion, Mercedes-Benz, you're paying a lot for a name and a very fancy automobile with a lot of gimmicks, a lot of toys to it. And basically, when those toys start acting up and breaking,
they're not cheap.
You say $1,000 is expensive. A used Mercedes, I would actually say more like $5,000 to $6,000 would be considered expensive on that. You could be looking at a money pit there. I would, especially right now with used car prices the way they are, I would consider letting that car go and find something a little smaller, less complicated of a vehicle, and until the prices really start going a different way, you might be able to get quite a bit of money back out of that and find another vehicle that's much more reasonable for you, and that way, have a vehicle that at least would be more reliable.
Right. That's what I'm thinking along those lines. But I'm wondering, do I have this vehicle fixed again? At what cost? I'm not sure. Or do I just and disclose, of course, that this has this problem?
I would not. Don't fix it. Find one of the places like CarMax or something like that. Go in and shop it at several different places, 3 or 4 different places. Don't tell them anything. Say, hey, look, I've got this car. I've downsized my family. It's too big a car right now. I don't really need this big thing driving around in the city, and I want to switch down to a much smaller vehicle. And just say, hey, this is my reason for wanting to get out of it, and let them look it over, let them set a price on it, and whichever one gives you the best price, go with that, and then see what you can find for a smaller vehicle. But I wouldn't tell them that you've got a problem. I know it sounds a bit cruel, a bit almost edging on dishonest, but caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. And
well, it's also right on the dash, with the indicator light and.
Lauren, I'm going to add a few of my experiences with you, and then we're going to have to go. We have some calls backed up, but my experience is that my daughter had a Mercedes just like you, and after a while she was pouring so much money into the vehicle, getting it fixed. The vehicle, she was spending more money than the vehicle was worth. Right now, you're sitting at an advantage. I'd take that car out, see what you could get for it. You're talking about lights being on your dash. Things get overlooked. If they find it, they find it, but I certainly wouldn't bring it to anyone's attention. And you're in a good position to get rid of that vehicle and put a little extra money in your pocket so you can afford that affordable, because you said you had financial problems. It can be an affordable vehicle, something small, like you said, with AC. So I hope we were able to help you today.
You helped me, and I was leaning in that direction, and now I know what to do.
Very good. Lauren, don't forget to stay on the line. Get that information to Jeremy, and I can write you out a check. It sounds like as if you could use that $50.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Spread the word. Tell your lady friends to give us a call and join this platform that we are building. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Don't forget your anonymousfeedback.com. Rick?
I've got one from Donovan here where he says, hi, what are your thoughts on what's going on with Carvana? The stock is down to $8 from its $360 high 15 months ago. They also just fired 1,500 workers yesterday. Do you think they'll be around much longer?
Well, now Carvana and all those third-party used car are having a hard time. Even the AutoNation with their independent used car lots and other used car business is tough right now, because everything was wonderful when the prices were climbing, and now when the price is coming down, the car dealers, including our car dealership, found ourselves with a huge amount, we call it water, in the inventory. We went out and bought a bunch of cars when they were really high priced, and then the prices came down, and now you can't sell them at that price. So Carvana's having that problem, car dealers are having the problem, CarMax is having the problem, and just what happens when the party's over. You know, the party's over, and people are starting to pay the piper. And that's what's going to happen to Carvana. Already has.
What's coming around the corner?
And on a quick note also from Donovan, because I like his opinions here. He's got some good information.
He does. We really enjoy him every week.
For the lady with the Mercedes, he says, this is why you don't buy a used Mercedes. And he says, the problem is a lot of people in the U.S. do not know how to work on them. And I would say that can be a true thing.
That's a rule. We're picking on Mercedes now, but you can say the same thing about a lot of luxury cars. And not all of them, but a lot of them. BMWs, Jaguars, Infinitis. The number one, the dealer network are the high price spread. You go into a luxury car dealership, they have the fancy customer lounge. They have the, everything is very haughty, and the prices are the same way. It costs you twice as much or 3 times as much to have your oil changed. And there is a shortage of qualified foreign car, luxury car technicians that are independent that can save you money. The thing that fools a lot of people is a new BMW or a new Mercedes is quite a nice car. And you don't have a lot of complaints. J.D. Power does a study on new cars, and they say, only 3 complaints per 100 cars. I mean, it's not a problem. Wait till that car gets to be 5 or 6 years old and see how many complaints you get. So if you want to buy a car that's going to last you a while and not going to cost you a fortune, check how it is as a used car, 5 or 6 years old, as well as a new car.
Here's another. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the Mercedes buyers, by the way, these guys are, they're millionaires, and they like to buy a car. They keep it for a year or 2, or maybe 3, and they buy another new one. When it's out of warranty, they buy another new one, and then they trade the car in.
Yeah, or they lease it and they don't even think about it.
They don't think about it.
A good clue on what you're getting into is when you look at the pricing of extended warranties, and like you can get extended warranties for new Mercedes that are like $8,000.
Yeah.
That just goes to show it's an insurance premium, and the actuaries have decided there's a potential for a big payout, so it's a big premium. So another clue.
And this one from Lance Cavett, excuse me. Will the Toyota Sale-a-thon occur this year?
It's happening.
It's happening in name, and they're promoting it. There are a few interest rate specials, but it's not the old glory of years gone by when there were cars plentiful and Toyotathon was a big, just a ton of cars being sold. It's not happening this year because of the inventory situation, but yes, it is nominally.
For you history fans out there, the Toyotathon was invented by Jim Moran. Jim Moran is a pioneer in the car business. He was the largest Hudson dealer and Ford dealer in Chicago a million years ago. And then he got the Toyota distributorship in Southeast United States. And he was a marketing genius, and he came up with the whole Toyotathon concept. Toyota loved it so much, they copied it. Jim Moran passed away 15 years ago, but he was a marketing genius, and that's where it all came from. But today's Toyotathon is a name only because it's a seller's market, and it's a waste of money to spend money on advertising because there's not enough cars to go around. And prices are crazy high.
And a bunch of incentives. There's no
Yeah.
there's no incentive to have incentives.
No.
Exactly. Good points, too. 877-960-9960. Text us at 772-497-6530. Remember, I am giving away $50. Looking for one more female caller, and I have $50 for you if you've never called before. So give us a call at 877-960-9960. We'll go back to Stu.
Okay. We have some anonymous feedback. Here's one that says, we went to purchase a mid-size SUV in Las Vegas. The dealer added $9,000 to the MSRP. I told him they must be on drugs. We purchased out of state and did not pay the $9,000 greedy markup. And indeed, yeah, people are traveling longer distances than ever to buy their car, and because some dealers are charging crazy money, and some people are just charging just like a little bit crazy money. And some dealers are charging, very few dealers, but are charging a reasonable amount relative to today's market.
Relative.
Yes, relative. Maybe not relative to a couple of years ago. We have another anonymous feedback comment. Thanks for sharing the mystery shopping report info on Wallace Kia in Stewart, which is especially valuable given you're a Toyota dealership owner. I've been talking to a Honda dealer about an Accord, which has about $5,000 in accessories, as all of their vehicles appear to have, and decided against going in to negotiate. We shared on a couple of occasions that if that's the starting point, we're not interested. Yet they still put the full port crest on with sales calls to come in. Your insight is invaluable, Earl. Thanks again. All right, so that's good. We're doing something good.
Yeah.
Makes me feel all right.
Exactly. I couldn't have put it any better. We're going to go back to the phones, and we're going to talk to Marty, who's a regular caller. Good morning, Marty. Welcome.
Good morning. How are you?
We're well, thank you. Good to hear from you.
I guess, a question for Stu. My son-in-law ordered a RAV4 hybrid back in May, so it's been 6 months. How many RAV4 hybrids do you get in a month? Because it's been 6 months, and I guess no one's told him that it's going to be here 2 days from now.
We get the hybrids, particularly RAV4 hybrids, in probably the least frequently of any of the vehicles. So they're coming in just maybe a handful or less a month. I can't give an exact number. That's why it's taking so long. That's why it's taking up to a year, sometimes even longer for some of the hybrids.
Okay. Now, let me ask a question. What about a RAV4 non-hybrid?
Those are coming in at a much more rapid clip. It's a much shorter waiting time.
Now, do you think they would call him if they get a RAV4 non-hybrid, or those are all asked?
No, but what he needs to do if he's open to open to a selection is to be as broad as possible. When you're specific, especially on a hybrid vehicle, on equipment and color, it can take longer because we're just waiting for the right one to become available for you. So if he is willing to go to a gas, he should call and let him know that he is switching his order, actually, or willing to get a gas hybrid. Because right now our inventory manager has the model number that your son wants, and she is working diligently to find a match for it. But if he's open to a gas model, that needs to be that information needs to get to her.
Yeah, we actually have cars on the ground now. 30 days ago, we had 0 cars. Now we probably got, 50 cars?
Smattering like 30 cars.
Yeah, so things are getting better. And you people that waited and waited and waited, as long as you're flexible, you could go and buy a car on most dealerships now. And find something closer to what you want. You won't find exactly what you want if you're very particular with the trim and the color and the equipment, and you just are inflexible. You're still going to wait a long time for the car.
All right. Now, do you have any RAV4s that are not sold yet?
You got to call into the dealership and speak to either the salesperson or the sales
Talk
manager.
to Jason.
You speak to anybody. You'll get the same information no matter who you speak to.
Okay. And the next question that I can ask Earl, you've got, according to your sales guys, 'cause I ordered a car back in March, and that's like, it's going to cost me 2 years, but I ordered a more specific Camry. But you've got 1,700 orders, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
If Toyota just worked on your dealership, it's got to take them a long time to fill every order.
Oh, no. If they worked on our order, we'd have it all filled in a month.
All right. So
Yeah, we really work.
If we got all the cars, that list would disappear immediately.
We work hard on that list, Marty.
For all the Toyota dealerships in the United States, if everybody had 1,700 orders, how long is it going to take to get everybody fulfilled?
Well, I mean, just they sell. There's about how many Toyotas get sold? We sell about 3,000 in a year, and there's 1,400 Toyota dealerships. So we'll let you do the math. I don't think that's.
Oh. All right, so it'll be a while. It'll be a long time.
It's going to take a while, yeah. But different models are produced at Camrys and Corollas and RAV4s. They focus on that because those are the core cars. So that gets the bulk of the production. And so those move quicker, and they're increasing, as far as the order speed goes.
All right, I'm going to tell my son-in-law if they want to, go from a hybrid to a regular, to contact you and see maybe you got one sitting there that they want.
You never
Possibly.
know.
All right.
Patience is a virtue.
We have a purple one with green stripes on it available.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. But short of that, you guys have a very wonderful dealership, and if anybody can produce a car, you can eventually.
Thanks, Marty.
All right.
Appreciate
have
it.
a good day, everybody.
You too.
Great hearing from you, Marty. Give us a call again. 877-960-9960. Text us at 772-497-6530. We're going to go to Fred, who's calling us from Palm Beach Gardens. Good morning, Fred.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
We're well, thank you. Welcome.
Good. I'm not far from you. I pass you all the time. So I just want to give you a quick story and then ask a question. We relocated from New York about 2 years ago and lived 65 years. So my wife worked as a bookkeeper in the car industry for 20 years. So we kind of knew all the ins and outs, when you had to get a car. So my experience was we went to a Honda dealership in New York, and I was in a car. This is about 8 years ago, and I walked to the salesman, and I kind of know the routine, and I said to the person there, I said, all I want is no money down. I said, I'm making it clear. I'm not giving you any money down. I want a 36-month or whatever, it was 39-year lease, and you come back and you tell me what my payments are. So he walks away. I knew the routine already, how it works. He walks away and he comes back and he says, well, we're $3,000 down. It's going to cost you this. Well, I picked up and I said, I'm leaving. And he was like, well, why are you leaving? I said, because I asked you a simple question. I wanted to know what my payments are with 0 down. And you're coming back to me with 3,000 down. Don't you listen? Oh, well, that's not my fault. That was my manager. So I picked up and I started walking out. I wasn't screaming or yelling. The salesman literally chased me down to my car and begged me to come back. And it was like, it was almost like an assault.
so debasing.
So I come back with my wife, and he says, okay, I'll be back in a minute. So he comes back. He took off the $3,000, and it came out to be the exact same number. So, yes, I ended up getting the car for what it was, but you just don't listen. And the second part was, and again, only because my wife's been doing the business, we knew about the F&I. So, of course, we had to play the game. So he says, well, now we're going to send you to the F&I guy. I was like, okay, we'll do that. Because without going to the F&I guy, we couldn't get checked out, and I needed the car at the end of the day. So as soon as we walk in there, my wife has been in the car dealer business for 20 years. He said, okay, sign the papers. But he didn't push one thing on us.
They knew it. They knew it. He knew it was who he was dealing with.
Yeah, he knew what he was dealing with. But I do have a question for you. I've been a Honda guy my whole life. Yes, I have driven some Toyotas already. So I guess I'll ask the question. I've been listening to you for like the last year, so I love listening to the show, just getting general information. Convince me when I'm ready, why should I buy a Toyota over a Honda if I've been happy with Honda for the past 30 years?
Well, you shouldn't. What you should do is check on the specific model that you're looking at. Because we'll say this. We'll both agree. Toyota and Honda are among the best cars made. But they change every year, and there's new models, and things are better some years than others. I would look at that year at Consumer Reports and specifically what they're saying about the quality issues on the car, because Toyota is a great car, but some year, even a Camry in I'm just making this up, the 2019 Camry might have been the greatest Camry they made. In 2020, it might not have been so great. So look at it year by year and model by model.
Yeah, that's great information, Fred, that Stu gave you. And one other bit of advice, Earl just wrote a column, or Earl's Pocket Guide to Buying or Leasing a Car. And go to Earl on Cars and take a look at that. But you certainly can't go wrong with Consumer Report, and it's a little easier to maneuver, for lack of another word, but it sounds like you and your wife did a great job. And if you don't have any other questions, it was great hearing from you, and we thank you for sharing your story. Do you have another question?
No, just a quick side note.
Okay.
So we live right off North Lake, so half the time we pass the Napleton store. After I heard the conversation about the big mystery shopper with $8,000, I jokingly said to my wife, why don't we go in there and ask for CB how much he could rip that for? And she started laughing at me. But one thing I will admit, guys, from your answer right now, I'm a customer service manager. We sell chairs, and honesty is the best policy, and loyalty is very good. Your answer to the question, you did it, was totally honest. You didn't tell me to go buy a Toyota because it's better, and you didn't tell me not to buy a Honda. That's why I love listening to you. You show you're honest.
Well, thank you for saying that. Earl doesn't even drive a Toyota.
Thank you so much, Fred.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Have a wonderful weekend. 877-960-9960. You can text us at 772-497-6530. And don't forget your anonymous feedback.com. We are going to have the studio energized. Guess what? Guess why? You listening, Roadrunner?
Oh.
Yes, I am.
I'm setting the stage for you. Go ahead. Go crazy.
I thought you brought like booze or something. I'm like, what?
Good morning, everybody.
Me.
There you go.
Yeah. I was listening to the show last week, and what's this rumor they're coming back with Barracuda?
Rick's making up stuff last week. He said something about the Barracuda.
I was teasing Nancy.
Rick.
He said it's an all-electric autonomous Barracuda.
I don't know about all that.
No, that's not a Barracuda.
I Googled that.
Well, he got you interested. He fooled you.
It's going to be electric, or are we just kidding around here?
Kidding around.
We're kidding around. Rick.
That's my job.
Google
I know. Rick's
Steve.
so serious, and he's he's a font of serious information.
Well, they probably would have a four-door anyway, so
Yeah.
who wants that?
And Dodge is
Also, we
thinking,
were
right?
talking
Dodge
about
is thinking about that?
last week.
Right.
We were talking about paint last week. Well, at the time, I owned a 69 Barracuda. I owned a 70 Barracuda. It was the purple passion color. That stuff just peeled right off. So I painted the car myself for $10 with Krylon flat black. That was it.
And you didn't know that was going to be a big trend in about 50 years when they're matte painted cars.
But that purple paint in the 70s, it came right off the car. It was ridiculous.
Hey, Steve, where's that car parked?
Well, my 69 Roadrunner?
You got it. Where is it?
It's in. I always keep it in the storage unit. I don't keep it outside.
I have your address.
Oh, Nancy's going to
That's
rob
my
you.
address. What's my address?
I just want to go for a ride with him in it.
Yeah.
Have him drive. I want to ride it.
Yeah, I want to go for a ride.
Well, this is what I'm going to do when I have time. I'm going down to the Walmart. They got a charging station there. And I got to get there early on Sunday morning. I'm going to bring an extension cord with me, wrap it around the charger, and put the plug under it. I want to see how many people stop and say, "Oh, I didn't know they made electric road runners."
Stick it in the gas cap tank.
You get a lot of.
No, I don't want to. No, I got to bend over. That's under the license plate.
Oh, okay.
Look out.
Where the real gas cap is. You know, one time I got gas in New York and walking around my car for 10 minutes. He couldn't figure out where the gas cap was.
10 minutes?
Yeah, he's looking around. I'm watching him. He's like touching the lights, looking at the side of the car and everything.
That's
like
up in
that.
Jersey, right?
No, New York.
Oh, okay. Because they have to fill up your tank in Jersey, right? New Jersey is all full service, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must be fun with the CUDA up there.
You can tell he's from New York.
Okay.
Phil got that accent.
I can't tell the difference.
Yeah, I could listen to you say New York for a week. I love it. New York.
I don't get a cup of coffee. Are you kidding? I still say it in Earl cloth.
Look at. I still say yins. Where am I from?
Yeah, Earl cloth. Nobody knows what Earl cloth is. It's linoleum.
Yeah, we just hang on to some of that stuff. We have a few people we know that say y'all.
That's my family.
I know.
Y'all.
All right.
Stuart say y'all.
Everybody have a good safe weekend and have a good Thanksgiving, everybody.
Oh, Steve, you're amazing. Happy Thanksgiving. We love hearing from you.
That's what my ex-wife said. I'm amazing. So get to know me.
Okay.
All right, everybody have a good holiday.
I'm going to keep an eye on you with that Barracuda. I'll be watching you. I'll talk to you later. 877-960-9960. You can text us at 772-497-6530. And don't forget your anonymousfeedback.com. Rick, do you have something for us?
I actually did that on an old Chevy pickup that I had. Flat black spray paint cans to paint the truck.
Yeah?
It worked.
No kidding.
You could touch it up anytime for 99 cents.
Oh, there you go. You heard it from Rick.
We're caught up here otherwise.
Okay.
We're going to go to Stu.
Yep. I got a text here. Who did it send? I don't have a name on it. It said they heard General Motors is restarting the government rebate for electric vehicles January 1st. Is that true for all makes of electric vehicles? And that's true. In the Inflation and Reduction Act, more tax credits were allocated for electric vehicle purchases. But there's some rules. It's not exactly there's like income restrictions on how much you earn. You might not be able to qualify for it.
It's like any government policy is very complicated.
Yeah. Talk to your accountant.
It's not going to do what they want it to do because government policies never do. The manufacturers don't like it. The dealers don't like it. Consumers don't like it. It's just a convoluted, complicated governmental mishmash. That the fact of the matter is, the demand and supply of the electric vehicle is going to set the price. Right. And if there is a big fat rebate, the dealers will keep that rebate.
Well, one of the problems also is that it's focused, and this is good maybe in the long run. It's focused on like lower priced electric vehicles. Yeah. So even like your Tesla, I don't think would qualify. Sedans with retail price more than $55,000 don't count. So it could benefit lower income people, but it's probably not going to end the current typical
Yeah,
bioelectric cars.
the EV has to be manufactured in the United States. It can't be manufactured, a Tesla is manufactured in China, wouldn't qualify.
Well, Toyota's moving their battery operations and everything to the United States, so it's having some effect on something. So I hope that answered the question. And I think, let me just make sure. Oh, we have one more here from Jonathan in Wellington. Jonathan's commenting on the mystery shops. He says, Earl grades the mystery shop dealerships on a curve. I grade much more harshly. Imagine a medical school grading on a curve. On a test, if the highest grade is a 30, that means everyone will pass. But I certainly don't want any of those doctors operating on me. You probably have.
Well, there's a lead into my favorite joke.
Well, I know, but let me finish this thing. Is the same holds true with car dealerships. They will either give me a great deal or they won't. If the dealership plays games, I won't buy from them. I have no time and enough money to play games.
And by the way, they do grade on the curve in medical school.
Yes, they do.
They grade on the curve everywhere. But here's my favorite joke. What do they call a doctor who graduates at the bottom of his class?
Doctor second class?
They call him a doctor.
Oh, okay.
So my point is that doctors or car dealers are car dealers. You got to find a good car dealer. You got to find a good doctor. Just because a guy calls himself a doctor doesn't mean he knows as much as the doctor down the street. So you're right. They do great on the curve, and some doctors graduate and they shouldn't be practicing medicine.
Okay. We have an anonymous feedback comment came in here. It says, hello, on an earlier program you mentioned there may be mid-year increases in car prices for some brands in the future. I plan on ordering a car at the beginning of next year. If there's a price increase before delivery, how much do you think the increase would be? I just want to be prepared for additional cost. That's a great question. It's hard to answer because there's so many, the dealers are doing so many different things.
Well, the bottom line, forget about price increases. Forget about, remember, supply and demand. A year from now, prices will be much lower.
Right.
So whether the manufacturers glob on a price increase or whatever happens, or there's a rebate or whatever, the whole thing boils down to supply and demand. You'll get a lot better price on a car 1 year from today than you do today.
Yep, and they're specifically looking at a Toyota Camry. Hybrid. I can tell you that everybody's doing it differently. Our dealership, like Earl said, it'll be the price at the time of delivery, and any incentives, supply and demand, whatever the price is then. So even if there is an increase, it's most likely not going to be felt by you because the prices will be coming down in a year from now. And we're all caught up.
Yeah, I've got an article in Automotive News I want to mention. It's more good news. We've got a lot of good news coming down the pike. If you were with us at the beginning of the show, we played a TV clip. Showed a TV clip from WPLG. Jeff Weinseer, the investigative reporter, talked about Ashley Moody finally, Attorney General for the state of Florida, finally taking action against car dealers that are ripping off their customers. Federal Trade Commission has been at it for a while, and there's more news about the Federal Trade Commission. Here's the headline for those streaming. FTC considers broader junk fee rules, and I'll hold that up. Now, the article is long. I'm not going to bore you and read the whole thing. Bottom line is that they are taking more and more action to control the ridiculous way cars have been retailed. But here's a paragraph I put a little circle around, which I think is just amazing. We've talked about it on this show for God knows how many years, but we talk about the FTC. The FTC's latest proposal suggests mandatory advertising of an out-of-the-door price, less government charges. Is going to be inevitable for dealers. So, I mean, this is like, finally, the Federal Trade Commission is saying, if you advertise the price of the car, it's got to be a real price. That's all they're saying. And so there's good news. And I think they are moving on this. And another few years, car dealers will be like going to Target or Walmart or Amazon. They're not going to screw you the way you are being
You know how many
today.
people you made happy just now reading that? And they're saying, Earl Stewart, repeat that. We can't believe it. We can't believe it.
We'll be out of a job.
No, not at all.
Well,
But not
if
at
car
all.
dealers are all honest, what are we going to do?
Not at all.
Earl on bicycles.
I think you're wrong about that. And ladies and gentlemen, if you saw the video this morning, I'm talking about the video that Jeff Weinzier, the investigative report that he's been doing and how involved he's been on this journey. Give us a call. How do you feel about the investigation and the subpoenas for these car dealers that are operating illegally? And they really are. That's a good word to use, you know. They talked about the illegal fees. Give us a call toll free at 877-960-9960. Even when I read what Earl just read to the audience, I couldn't believe that last night in the automotive news. And we're going in the right direction. Things are finally happening, and people are getting sick, actually sick of the treatment of purchasing a vehicle. We are going to go back to the phones, and we are going to talk to Denise, who's calling us from Riviera Beach, and she is a first-time caller. Good morning, Denise.
Good morning.
Welcome. You won yourself $50, Denise. If you
Great, thank you.
if you stay on the line after we're finished talking, you can give your contact information to Jeremy, and he'll pass that along to me, and I'll mail you a check.
Wow, that sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Welcome to the show, and what can we do for you this morning?
Well, I just heard about what you guys are doing with Toyota, and I think it's wonderful, especially for someone like me that always feels like I'm somehow getting ripped off when I go to purchase a car or even have my car fixed, which is what happened to me at Napleton on North Lake Boulevard. I went to service, and I was told everything was fine with my tires, and they let me go. And about a month later, I had a blowout on a tire on Singer Island, and I went to Napleton, to get fixed. And they said, "Oh, you need all new tires." And I said, "Why didn't you tell me that a month ago when I was here? You let me drive with." They said there were cracks in the tires, and they would have blown soon. And I said, "Your salesperson told me that." And then the manager came out with some kind of a chart. Well, they rate a 5, and you can still drive on them. I didn't know what he was talking about. Bottom line is, I said, "You let me go with bad tires, 4 bad tires to drive, and, another few hundred miles, and I take long trips." So they said, "Well, we'll take care of you." And my rim got damaged, obviously, because I had 2 on it to find a safe spot. And and I had the car insurance I took out when I bought the car, the tire insurance. And they said it didn't apply because that doesn't cover wear and tear on tires.
Right.
And I said, "But it blew out."
Right.
So
Wear and tear.
back and forth with that. They said they would call Fidelity, who was the insurer, and I asked them, if they submitted the pictures, and they said, "Oh, they won't cover it. They already said they wouldn't cover it." And I asked for the information to call myself. And then they said, "Oh, you have to go to Wallace now. That's where you bought the insurance policy." And I thought, why doesn't anyone cover this?
Right.
I should be able to go to any shop. And they said that's their policy. But the bottom line is they never made the call.
They didn't want to deal with it.
They wanted to brush me off. And so I left. They sold me 4. I got 4 tires and paid for 3, supposedly. And so I said, "Wait, that blowout shouldn't even be part of that." And they said, "No, you got a deal, blah, blah, blah." So I called Wallace, and they said, "That's wrong. You used to be able to take it anywhere." But the strange thing, even Wallace didn't know that you have to get pre-authorized when you have an issue that has to be fixed or changed in order for them to cover it. No, read that fine line, and neither did I, because it was all the way down on the bottom. So that's why Fidelity supposedly wouldn't accept the contract to change it. And so back and forth. Well, I went back into Napleton, and that was another issue, to the manager of service. And he was rude, obnoxious. He started screaming at me and called me a racist, actually. So I left. I wasn't going to get involved in that. And I thought, who can I write? Who can I call from Napleton? Who's in charge? of customer service.
We don't know because we've been calling them out publicly, for years, and then they've been fined and investigated by the federal government, and since then they've continued to behave that way. You bring up a very important thing that our listeners need to listen to. So you bought some extended warranty stuff. An important question, and nobody thinks to ask, and you shouldn't feel bad for not asking. But when it comes time to actually making a claim, what kind of hoops do I have to jump through to get this taken care of, or who do I call? What's the number I call? Because sometimes it makes it very, very difficult to get anything done, and you just exposed that.
And many dealers are selling the warranty, so they're the ones that have to pay for the repair. They sold you the warranty. They made a big fat profit when they sold it to you, and the only expenses involved are repairs. So when you come back for repairs, they want to keep all that money. They don't want to have to pay for the repairs. So it's extended warranties are a really dangerous thing. I, generally speaking, don't recommend them at all, but if you want to buy an extended warranty, buy it from the manufacturer. The dealer's warranty is probably not as good.
And look what's excluded, and find out that you don't have to call a hidden number buried in the contract to get a pre-authorization.
No, that was a surprise. I'm glad you said that. And when I did call Wallace, the woman that sold me the insurance, when I paid for the car, she said she was honest. She goes, I have no idea. I said, well, you should know what's in your contract before you put it on to consumers. You told me I could bring it anywhere to any tire place. And so now what? I'm stuck with, that expense and a wheel. And she said, well, you rode on your wheel. I said, how did you think I was going to get from the flat tire place, where I had it, to a safe place? I had to ride on it.
Yeah, that happens.
So they don't cover wheels that you ride on, according to her. And that surprised me. And so I said, listen, you have to do something. Otherwise, I'm going to cash in the contract. I want my money back from that.
Is there any chance, did anybody bring up the idea of seeing if the tire manufacturer's warranty would cover it, if there's any chance a defect that wore out and caused that blowout, if that was caused by a defect, that could be demonstrated. Sometimes that's a route you can go. You call Goodyear or Bridgestone or whoever the manufacturer is.
They never told me anything like that at all. One thing I did do, I told the girl at Wallace, I said, listen, I'm bringing the car in after Thanksgiving, and your mechanic's going to look at it, because I feel like, that I deserve to get this replaced. Because then when I did read the contract, I said, it's your fault that you didn't have it pre-authorized. So she said, okay, we'll see what we can do.
And you're waiting to hear something now? Are you waiting to hear from Wallace, or are they going to try and resolve this?
They called later, and they confirmed that I could bring the car in. And she said, I'm not going to tell you where it can change it or give you a free rim, but now I'm going to present all this, what you just told me about the manufacturer, of the tire, and I don't, they got to be able to find that out.
Okay.
I think.
Well, can you call us back? Do you think, are you expecting to hear anything in the next week?
After the day, next day after.
Okay. After Thanksgiving?
To them.
We'll be on the air next Saturday. Can you call us and let us know what they told you?
Okay.
Okay, great.
Denise, this is Nancy Stewart. I want to thank you for calling, and I also want to let you know that this story that you shared with us is pretty consistent with a lot of dealers, especially Napleton. And I don't know whether you are aware of the $10 million settlement that Napleton just went through, and the allegations of racial discrimination, illegal fees. There's a laundry list here. So we appreciate your call, and we would definitely love to hear back from you as to how this story ends.
Okay.
Have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
Well, there's something interesting also, automotive news, that I will share with you. We don't think about the cost of maintenance and repair on a mileage basis. And AAA, American Automobile Association, compiled this. And it's interesting to me how inexpensive a hybrid is in terms of maintenance and repair compared to a gasoline engine. The cost cents per mile in a hybrid vehicle is $8.88 a mile. The average cost is about $10. That's a fairly bad. In electric vehicles, even less. It's only about $8 cents per mile in terms of maintenance and repair. It's the overall average between midsize, small, big, electric, hybrid, and the rest of it is about $10, 10 cents a mile. But when you buy a car, you look at a lot of things. You look at gas mileage. You look at the cost of the car. You think about a lot of things that you should think about, like depreciation. But people don't really have a guide as to what it costs to maintain and repair a car. You think about the warranty, and I don't have to spend anything for 3 years. But if you keep a car for 5 years, the average cost is going to be about $10, 10 cents per mile. I mean, that adds up. 15,000 miles a year, it adds up. So it's an average thing. So when you're buying a car and shopping around comparing prices, remember that. Check the AAA out. You can Google it anytime you want, American Automobile Association.
Okay.
Okay, I think that, do you have a couple of texts left?
Bob has a question. Bob wants to know, does it hurt to put a larger amp battery than the factory one?
No.
Okay.
That actually will not cause any issues in your car. It may even make that battery last a little bit longer. But bear in mind, the higher amperage batteries that you go, they can increase in price quite a bit. Going up just a small amount is going to be a small increase in price. But some of those where you get the really high expensive batteries, the super power, high amperage batteries, and even getting into like the marine deep cycle batteries, they can get really expensive.
What kind of advantage do you get from a higher amp battery?
Stepping up a couple hundred amps over what your car originally came with actually makes the battery, the alternator system, don't have to work quite as hard to get the battery back up to full charge. And it actually will help the battery last a little bit longer over the life of the battery. Okay. Extends the life of the battery itself.
All right. Learn something new.
Okay. Time for a commercial. Now, the hurricane, Hurricane Ian we had, did a huge amount of property damage and also damage to human life. But a lot of the damage that we don't talk about are the homeless dogs. A lot of the people that lost their homes or had their homes damaged had to give up their pets. And the shelters are overflowing. When a shelter has too many dogs, they have to euthanize the dogs after a certain amount of time. Now, why am I holding up my book, Confessions of a Recovering Car Dealer? All the proceeds of this book, if you want to buy the book, it's a how to do it on how to buy a car without being ripped off by a car dealer. If you buy the book, 100% of the proceeds, I don't get a nickel. All of it goes to Big Dog Ranch Rescue. And that Big Dog Ranch Rescue, that we have one of the dogs right here in the studio.
We have two dogs in the studio.
Yeah, but Big Dog Ranch Rescue is the only and the largest no-kill animal shelter. Our dogs they keep them there for years. If we have a dog that is likes the place too much, it's like a resort, and we actually have dogs that have been there for 2 or 3 years. We do not euthanize our dogs. We've taken in a huge amount. We're bursting at the seams at Big Dog Ranch Rescue. We probably have 500 dogs or more looking for homes. So go to Amazon, Amazon.com, buy the book. If you don't need the book, give it to a friend. It'll tell you how to buy a car without being ripped off by a car dealer. And it will also, all that money goes to Big Dog. Now, we need that money because we have a vet service. We have a maternity ward. When the dogs give birth, we keep the puppies, we find homes for the mothers and the puppies. So Big Dog Ranch Rescue there in Loxahatchee. We also have a new facility in Alabama, and we're opening another facility. So we are literally finding homes for thousands of dogs. As I say, none of our dogs are euthanized, and you can foster a dog even if you don't want, you can't afford or you don't want to have a dog permanently. Come pick up a dog, hold the dog for a week or two or three maybe until we can find. We don't have room for all the dogs. So help us out, buy a book, adopt a dog or foster a dog. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Let's
we
wait for the-
have a couple. Do you hear that, folks? We have a couple of dogs in the studio. Oh, they're both so cute.
Gentle panting.
Yes. On a more serious note, Confessions of a Recovering Car Dealer, great contribution, and what a great Christmas gift. And that book can be put on the shelf, and you can use it, for a long, long time. So take advantage of that. We're going to get to the mystery shopping report. And whoops,
I got one-
Stu has one more.
Since it's 9:36, we got a minute or two for one more text. This listener just joined late. Do you guys still have over 2,000 new cars ordered for customers close? Is there a slightly higher percent of customers canceling orders with the higher rates and slowing economy? Possibly. We haven't really measured it precisely, but there's drop off every month. I haven't picked up an appreciable amount of drop off. Next question, if you had ordered a car, I know the salesman can give you an estimate for how many months it might be. Is there a way to check how far back in line you might be? Yeah, absolutely. Just call in and ask, and they can give you an updated estimate. All right. Now we're caught up.
Okay. We have a, yes? I thought you were going to say something. We have the mystery shopping report we're going to get to. And as I remind you every week, take advantage of our text number, 772-497-6530. We'd love to hear from you. How do you feel about the mystery shopping report, and how would you grade it? And again, 772-497-6530. That mystery shop was done at Delray Buick, GMC.
Yeah. Delray Buick GMC. It just occurred to me, I should have mentioned this earlier when we're talking about the family that owns the dealership now. Ralph Buick was in Delray for many years. A lot of you folks from South Florida will remember that. And he was kind of a pioneer too. It's very interesting to me that Delray Buick has been in the hands of dealers who've been around for a long, long time. I don't know if there's any significance to that, but at one time Ralph Buick was the largest Buick dealer in the United States. And that was back during my days at Stewart Pontiac. Okay, here's a report. The Garber Buick Company was founded in 1910 by Guy Garber. I had no idea that we had dealers back then. I mean, that's Stu just pointed out that was before Henry Ford.
Well, he was before he did the he was
before-
selling he was making Fords, but he hadn't done the assembly line.
Assembly line thing, yeah. So it wasn't before he was born, but before he was impacting the.
Before he was churning them out.
Exactly. So anyway, it was one of the first automobile, Garber referring to, one of the first automobile dealerships in America, 100 and something years ago, and a few generations later, the Garber Automotive Group is still going strong. I mean, I thought I knew all this stuff. I didn't. That's amazing. Why wouldn't they use that more in their? Why would they call it Delray Buick?
Yeah, they call the store in Fort Pierce Garber Buick. They don't call it in Delray.
I mean, here it is. I mean, that's to me, that's
worth something.
a cool thing. That's a marketing thing that would do that. Based in Michigan, Garber consists of 23 new car dealerships in 6 states. During the 2010s, they acquired 2 Buick GMC dealerships in South Florida, Garber Buick GMC in Fort Pierce, and Delray Buick GMC. We did a lot of looking, and we can't find exactly when the Garbers opened the Delray Beach location. We did a Takata mystery shop there in 2019, and they did pretty well. Back then, we were surprised to learn the Garber Automotive Group existed, and struggled to find when they came into town. I don't even remember that, but if I'd have known they'd been around since 1910, I would have remembered. Back when we reported on them in 2019, We remarked on their long and impressive history as a family business and their great online reputation. We made the assumption that a group with a reputation on the line would take the Takata problem seriously. It turns out they did. But as we've seen week after week, even the noblest of car dealers have failed to resist the temptation to push their pricing to the limit. Even as prices begin to edge down, nearly every dealer is still in max profit mode and is still a seller's market. Now, you know, in all fairness, I mean, we have to include ourselves in that because we are charging.
We're in max profit mode.
Yeah, MSRP. We're making a huge amount of money selling new Toyotas. And it's just the fact that the other dealers are making a lot more because they're going way over MSRP. The only thing we can pat ourselves on the back for is we drew the line at something the manufacturer suggested retail price. We don't charge thousands over that, and we don't charge hidden fees, and we don't charge Mickey Mouse junk fees for unneeded, worthless options. So everything's relative. So we're not squeaky clean. We're just kind of clean compared to everybody else.
Cleaner,
right.
I did find out there are 2 Toyota dealerships in our old 20 group that are not over MSRP.
But what about junk fees and dealer installed accessories?
I think one of them, sure, is not doing it. I don't know about the other.
Yeah. We sent Agent Lightning in to shop a used car again. She identified a used 2021 Buick Enclave Essence with 27,000 miles. It was listed for sale on Delray Buick's website for $33,000 even. I arrived on, this is a report, I'm speaking as if I'm Agent Lightning. I arrived in the late afternoon and was greeted by a friendly woman who asked me what brought me in today. I told her I was looking at a used car, and she offered to get me a salesperson. She made a brief phone call, hung up, and then said Jim would be right with me. The greeter, that's a woman, was offering me coffee when Jim walked into the door with his hand outstretched. I took his hand and shook it. That's interesting because here we have the COVID thing. It was the mask and maybe the fist bump.
Now it's
now we're back to handshakes.
We'll be hugging next week.
We'll be hugging, yeah. He asked me to follow him into the building next door where his office was. We sat across from each other at his desk. Jim pulled up the used car inventory on his computer screen. He searched for the Enclave and exclaimed loudly when he found it. He announced, "It had just come in." Jim said jokingly that the only problem now is finding it. I laughed and said that sounded like a Jim problem and not a me problem. Jim said, "You're gonna be trouble, aren't you?" He said he'd be right back, headed off to locate the car I wanted. I expected to wait a while, and I was surprised to see Jim pull up at a black Buick Enclave just after a couple of minutes. Now, here's kind of an observation I'll make about this interaction so far between Agent Lightning, the mystery shopper, and the salesperson. Jim, this salesperson at the Buick dealership, he has a good personality. He's likable.
Instant chemistry here.
And Agent Lightning, she's a pretty tough nut. She's we've known her for a couple of years now, and she's demanding. She doesn't put up with nonsense, and she forms an opinion of the dealership and the salesperson, as you do, or I would, and that's the reason she's such a good mystery shopper. So right away, Agent Lightning likes Jim.
Yeah.
And she is starting to trust Jim. And this is what you have to be careful of when you go in a dealership. It's easy to be careful when somebody is dumb enough to treat you shabbily and rudely. But when someone really turns the charm on, and let me tell you, a good salesperson, with the old saying, they can sell a refrigerator to an Eskimo. I mean, good salespeople are able to charm and sell you things. So I'm not putting Jim down. I mean, we like courteous salespeople. Hey, we're car dealers. We like good salespeople, and good salespeople are courteous and charming. So here we found one, and they're kind of rare.
Yeah.
Well, when's the last time we saw Agent Lightning charmed?
Yeah, when you meet somebody that you instantly know you can make fun of,
yeah.
You found a guy with a good personality.
Yeah, it's kind of like a con man or a crook. But he was such a nice person. We see this in mass murderers too, right? Oh,
Ted Bundy.
Yeah,
was
he
very
was
charming.
Such a charming.
I think we're going down the wrong direction here.
Well, no, I just
we got to hear how this plays out.
This is Earl on Cars. This is how to avoid being ripped off. And I'm telling you, the biggest danger out there, we don't talk about it. And we're talking about it now. A charming, likable salesperson. He is your worst enemy because he can get you to make an irrational, bad decision.
Just like the devil can.
Exactly. The devil can make you do that.
He can appeal to your emotions.
Exactly. And that's what car buying's all about, emotion.
You can walk into a dealership and sell your heart to the devil.
Back to the report. I laughed hard and I'm Agent Lightning, I laughed hard when I went outside to meet him, Jim. He'd stolen the vehicle right out of the detail department. I'm still laughing. There were white swirls of wax supplied that had yet to be buffed out on the side, and Jim knew how to get the job done. I mean, it was just Agent Lightning's having a ball here.
He made a show out of it.
Going to invite Jim to dinner. We looked over the car in its half-clean state. It was in great shape. There was no window sticker on it yet, and didn't have time to do it. Jim said he needed only a few minutes for paperwork before we could go out on test drive. It began to rain a little, so I told him he should bring the car back to detail so the wax job doesn't get ruined. I said I'd drive it once I decided if I was buying it, after I saw the pricing. Jim said I was right. The detail manager told him to get the car right back. I went back to the desk, and he took the car back to the detail manager. Jim came right back and sat down. He showed me a buyer's order from another deal to demonstrate that they had no hidden fees, just a dealer fee.
And it's not hidden. It's just right there.
Yeah. I asked him to print one up for the Enclave, and he agreed. He pulled the listing on the computer again. Jim said a window sticker with their best price would be put on as soon as detail was done with it. He pointed out that it would be the same as their online price, $33,000. Jim got up to get the numbers. He was back in a few minutes with a sales manager and a worksheet. The sale price was $33,000, same as I'd seen online, and exactly what Jim said it would be. Then they added $745 in government fees and an $898 dealer fee. The sales manager said that the government fees would likely go down. He said it was comprised of a new vehicle, of a new plate, DMV, and electronic filing fee, which I don't know why he said that.
Well, I have thoughts on this.
Okay. I looked at the printout of the sticker. There is no electronic filing fee. Anyway, he went on to explain it was based on the weight of the vehicle, which is true. Yeah. And the fact of the matter is, one of the reasons our dealership doesn't advertise prices including tax and tag, government fees, is because there are variables that you cannot pin down till you know exactly the date of birth, is their car being traded in or not?
It's a truck, and the weight.
The weight, and it's a little complicated.
A computer program does.
You have to have the exact car that you want to buy and the exact person who's buying it before you can calculate the tax and tag.
So the best you can do is an estimate.
Come close. You can.
What I think he's doing in this $745 in government fees, I don't know if they know. I mean, this electronic filing fee business has been around for a long time, years now. And he's saying, yeah, well, it'll come down. So he's just thinking that plate estimate, is that what that is? So that plate estimate's in there, but the electronic filing fee for several $100s is bogus.
And oftentimes the salespeople are duped by the dealer, just like the customers are.
Yeah, they don't know.
And they say, well, this is part of the tag and registration, and it's not. And the salesman doesn't get paid on it. It all goes in the dealer's pocket. Jim chimed in to say there was no pressure from them if I decided to buy. It was here for me. Boy, how refreshing is that? I waited for some more pressure. One of them warned me the car would be sold soon. That didn't happen. I mean, what a unusual surprise. I thanked them both for a great experience. Said everyone had been so friendly. They were very appreciative, thanked me for coming in. So there you have it. An extraordinarily friendly, happy experience at a car dealership.
And look at Jim. Look at the picture of Jim.
Oh, Jim, that's right. And he has his picture on the card. He's not only sounds charming, he looks charming.
Great. Look at this guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's a pro.
Yeah. So, as I say, Ted Bundy, your worst enemy, could be a guy like this. This case here, turns out he's honest, and he looks honest, and he's friendly. I mean, the best of the best of the best. So there we have it. We grade on the curve, and we have a Buick dealer in Delray, Florida, and we'd like to hear your votes. There was the dealer fee. You could call it a junk fee, dealer fee. It was fairly big. All dealers do it, so there you are.
Well,
Grading on the curve.
We got Mark says he managed their body shop at Ralph Buick for 3 years, starting 2004, and he gives them a B+ on the mystery shopping report. And I really liked Hal Delray Buick. I want to call them Garber Buick just to honor their history. They did a really good job. The only two bad parts were the $745 in government fees and then just the dealer fee. They can't get an A. I'm not going to give anybody an A unless they don't have fees. But I give them a B. They did a good job. And Bob just texted. Bob gives them an A.
Well, I've got Joseph Kelleher, D, too high of a dealer fee. And let's see, Tom Steckel, B-, hidden electronic filing fee. They know exactly what DMV charges, and their fees assume electronic filing. Only additional charge is $10 for a fast title. Brian Sedlatko, B. Wayne Veit with an A-. Mark Smith, B. Mark Ryan, B. Scott Hunter, B. Government fee was too high. Myself, I think I'm going to follow Stu's thought with the B, because the dealer fee should be included in that $33,000 advertised price. Just make it $33,898.
Right, there you go.
And you've got an A+ from me.
I'm glad you said that.
And you have a very happy customer who walks in who got exactly what they thought they were going to get.
And Ken Asher with a B. And Kirk in West by God, Virginia. Delray Buick, priced as advertised, but with e-filing junk fee, earns a B.
Okay, Anne-Marie gives them a B+, and we have a C here. Who is this from? I know I have your name somewhere. But we have a B. Would have been an A+ if there wasn't a dealer fee and the electronic filing fee.
Okay. Too many fees, and like Rick said, include that dealer fee. It's real easy to do, and it's honest. So for that, I give them a C. That's a pretty good grade coming from me.
It is.
Yeah, I'm really, I'm very, until Rick said, and he's absolutely right, the advertised price was $33,000. They added almost $900 in a dealer fee. Nothing wrong with a dealer fee if you include it in the advertised price, but then it doesn't do what a dealer fee is supposed to do, which is sneak the price up, which is what they did. Mm-hmm. So I want to give them an A so bad I can't do it. I'm going to give them a B+. I really feel bad. I think I'd make it an A-. I'm going to give them an A-.
Yeah, it's funny though. My own personal consumer opinion. If I see a price tag on a window that says $33,898, and a price tag on the car next to it says $34,000, it's what a $112 or $102 difference. My mind still says this one's $1,000 cheaper because it's only $33,000 versus $34,000, even though the actual difference is only $102. Mm-hmm. Put that dealer fee in the advertised price. Follow the law. Make it right. You've got a guaranteed A for me on that at that point, and boom, there it is. And the customer's mindset, the consumer mindset, is going to see $33,000, even though it's $33,898. They're still going to think 33 is a great number.
And when we go back to Ashley Moody now, she's starting to get religion, and she's starting to enforce the laws. She's actually going after dealers. If you just tuned in, first part of the show, we showed a video clip. Jeff Weinstein, the investigative reporter for WPLG Channel 10 in South Florida, really stirred up this whole thing with Moody, Ashley Moody, Attorney General. and she's actually gone out and subpoenaed subpoenas to several dealers for charging extra fees when the person exercises option to purchase his lease car. So if Ashley Moody would begin to enforce the law now about the fact advertised price must include all profits to the dealer, then this sort of thing wouldn't happen. So the $33,000 would have had to been $34,000, which is what the real price was, or $33,900, or what it was. So yeah, it's against the law to advertise a price that is not the full price, meaning the price which is profit to the dealer, not counting government fees. So there we are.
Yeah. One little thing I should have included in there is I did book out the car. The $33,000 was a good price, and even $34,000 with the extra fees is a good price. That's right around the. I looked on Auto Trader, which, by the way, they're all lower than what the real prices are, but relatively, it seemed to be right in the middle, lower middle of the pack.
Fee Auto said it was a good price. Yeah. Okay, there we are.
If any of our listeners missed that video this morning when we first aired. You can go to Earl Stewart on Cars Facebook and Earl Stewart on Cars YouTube channel, and you can watch that video. And the video was about Ashley Moody subpoenas the car dealers after local town investigator investigated these illegal fees that are going on. And that's Jeff Wines here. What a great job he's doing. Folks, we're out of time, and I want to thank you all for joining us this morning, and to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving. And don't forget about thinking about recovering car dealer, the book that's out, and Confessions of a Recovering Car Dealer, and you can purchase that. And all proceeds go to Big Dog Ranch. And it's a great gift for Thanksgiving, for Christmas. And you can go to Amazon.com and get the book. Have a wonderful weekend and happy Thanksgiving.